At 23, Lena had already lived a life that could break anyone. Her parents were gone. Her brother had disappeared into addiction. And she was barely surviving on the minimum wage she earned serving tables. Some days she skipped her own meals so her rent wouldn't be late. But no matter how tired she felt, she never cried at work, until the morning she wiped down table number 3 and realized how deeply she missed a man who wasn't even family. "Why am I like this?" she whispered, brushing tears with the back of her hand. The cafe owner, Maria, noticed. "You cared about him," she said gently. "That's not a weakness, Lena. That's your humanity." But Lena didn't believe it. The truth was, Mr. Howard had become more than a regular customer. One morning months earlier, he had found her silently crying behind the counter after getting a call that her electricity would be cut off. She had tried to hide it, but he had simply sat down and said, "Talk. I'm listening." And she did. Every fear. Every struggle. Every failure. He listened, not with pity, but with warmth. "You're stronger than you think," he would say. "But no one is strong alone. Remember that." Since then, he had shown up every day, always with a smile and a story from his past, stories of love, loss, and the lessons life taught him. Lena used to say jokingly, "You're the grandfather I never had." And he'd answer, "And you're the granddaughter I always wished for." So when he stopped coming, it felt like the world had pulled the ground out from under her feet. One night, unable to sleep, Lena made a choice she never thought she'd make. "I'm going to find him," she said to herself. All she knew was his first name and the street he once mentioned. She walked through the cold evening air, knocking on doors in the quiet neighborhood. Most people didn't know him. Some gave small clues. "Old man with a cane?" "Yes, he walks his dog every evening." "You mean Mr. Howard?" "Haven't seen him for days." Her heart pounded harder. Finally, a neighbor answered with sadness in her eyes. "You must be the waitress from the café." Lena's breath froze. "He talked about you often." "Is he okay?" Lena asked, voice trembling. The neighbor exhaled slowly. "He's in the hospital." The world went silent. When Lena reached the hospital, fear weighed on every step. She approached the front desk. "Howard, please, room number." The nurse checked the chart. "He's in the cardiac unit." Her knees nearly gave out. When she entered his room, she saw him asleep, connected to tubes and monitors, looking smaller than she had ever seen. Tears streamed down her face. "You should have told me," she whispered. He opened his eyes slowly, recognizing her. "My dear Lena. I didn't want you to worry." "How could I not worry?" she sobbed. He smiled faintly. "You always cared more than you should." Lena stayed by his side every evening after work. She learned he had been living alone since his wife passed away years earlier. No children. No close relatives. "You were my only routine," he admitted. "My only joy these past months." Her heart broke. "But why didn't you say something?" she asked. "Because you needed strength," he whispered. "Not another burden." For the first time, Lena realized something important. He wasn't a burden. He was family. 1 week later, the cafe felt strangely quiet. No customers spoke. No dishes clattered. The world paused. Lena received a call that made her drop the tray in her hand. Mr. Howard had passed away in his sleep that morning. She collapsed into a chair, face buried in her apron, crying louder than she ever had. Maria hugged her tightly. "He loved you, Lena. You meant something to him." But Lena only shook her head, sobbing. "What if I didn't do enough? What if he felt alone?" 2 days later, a lawyer visited the cafe. "I'm looking for Lena." I have something Mr. Howard left for her. Her heart froze. Inside a brown envelope was a handwritten letter. With trembling hands, she opened it. My dear Lena. If you are reading this, it means my journey has reached its end. Thank you for listening to an old man's stories, for giving me warmth when my days felt cold, and for reminding me what family feels like. You gave me a reason to wake up every morning. And now, I want to give you something in return. Inside the envelope was a key. A house key. The letter continued. My home is yours now. Build a life inside those walls. Fill it with laughter and dreams. You gave me joy. This is my way of giving it back. Lena fell to her knees in the middle of the café, crying, not from pain this time, but from love. The house wasn't huge. It wasn't luxurious. But it was hers. For the first time in her life, Lena had stability. A place to sleep without fear of eviction. A place to dream again. She hung Mr. Howard's picture on the living room wall. Thank you, she whispered every night. I won't waste the life you gave me. She enrolled in evening classes, saved money, and slowly began building the future she once thought impossible.